Back into session now. Our first item on our agenda is our Pledge of Allegiance, led by Sean.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Sean. Moving on to our 7:02 agenda item, we have open forum, frequently asked questions, and announcements. Do we have anybody from the audience for open forum this evening?
Let me ask just a point of order in terms of the meeting. When they come to the discussion about the Route 27 thing, will we be able to talk at that time?
Yes, you will.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions for open forum? All right, I'm going to turn it over to town staff. Any announcements or things that you would like to?
Yes, Mike has.
Having some
Oh, we're
technical
gonna get some
issues.
pictures?
Well, we're going to get some pictures in just a second.
Okay.
All
right,
I'll
exciting.
give you a quick update on a great event we had this past. Okay, here we go. There in the main folder. I got it. Well, I'm not logged in yet. They're in the main folder. Go back one folder. In the main meeting folder, right down the bottom. Okay,
You talk and I'll bring it.
Yep, so we just had a very successful community block party on Friday. Saw a few of you there, certainly saw a lot of our residents there. We had between 1,000 and 1,500 people, depending on who you ask. We did have about 9 booths out there, town departments, community organizations. Police had their community events team out there, Firefighters Association was out there, DPW was out there. 5 food trucks, a beer truck, light band, bounce house, games, and 2 magicians. We had multiple times of food trucks actually running out of food and having to go get more. The beer truck ran out. We had no incidents reported. Everybody was on their best behavior, and just wanted to say, I think in terms of when we talk about trying to engage the community, we saw a lot of people we don't normally see at town events. We saw a lot of people that we don't see at town meeting. Robinson School Building Committee was out there talking about the school project. They actually had about 3 times the amount of people that have shown up to all the forums show up and do exercises with them to learn about the project. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for us to do these types of events and have more engagement and in ways we haven't in the past. Police did just a phenomenal job with all the parking, the traffic control, and everything else. And I think the team on both the Road and Bush side and the town side, just quick shout out to Amanda Crone, Ann Zato, Amanda Sullivan from the Road and Bush, and then our staff, Nicole Laviolette, Michelle Collette, and Brian Gendron. We're kind of the core team that put it all together, but all in all, just great job. Really hope we get a strong turnout at the rest of the events over the next year. So.
And do you have some of those events already planned out, your dates or anything?
Well, the Monster Mash is coming up in October. That'll be the second one we've done with Road and Bush, and then we're looking at one in January and another one in the spring to be announced when we get them. But they're going to be fun.
Awesome.
So,
Fantastic.
bigger and better.
Awesome. Any questions, comments for Mike on that? Well, Mike, thank you very much, and to all the town staff and members of Road and Bush to participate in that. Sounds phenomenal. I just hope next year I can attend. I will hopefully be on vacation, so excellent. We also have an item here to recognize our first responders for their highly professional response to events that occurred on August 14th and 15th. Town manager?
Sure. So thank you all for coming this evening to be recognized. Chief Chambers and Chief Dennehy as well. On Friday, August 14th, we had a industrial accident at Newport Materials. Our team really stepped up in addition to the Newport team in helping that individual at that location and had quite a feat. I won't go into all the details. If the chiefs would like to, they may. We then also had a very traumatic incident at the quarry late in the evening Friday night into Saturday morning. Police and fire again, and I will also say public safety communications in both of these instances as well. Phenomenal response, an unfortunate outcome there. And then there was another incident on Saturday on Route 495 in which our firefighters responded to and did an amazing job there. So I want to commend both chiefs on having the staff that is capable and putting in the effort and making Westford very proud of those that we have here on staff. And I know our residents are probably eternally grateful as well. So thank you all for coming tonight and for all your work that you did. And again, the chiefs for your leadership through these processes.
Actually, I just want to say a few things. The teams did extremely well under the circumstances. Both incidents, actually all three incidents, were very well organized. The communications were great, and especially the Newport materials incident, where the amount of resources coming in was flawless. We heard that from everybody that was called right through the whole incident. So that shows the professionalism and the level of knowledge our people have, which is great.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
If I could, I'm just going to echo Chief Dennehy's sentiments. If anything, it shows how well Westford Police, Fire, and Public Safety Communications really works seamlessly when we have these types of traumatic events happen within the town. Our personnel are very highly trained, very professional, and really do such a great service for the town. So on behalf of all of us, thank you for recognizing the officers, both police, fire, and communications for their efforts. We really wouldn't be able to do it without the support of the community and everything that you guys do for us. So the least we can do is give back. And thank you guys. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Any comments from the board?
Just thank you for coming here tonight in person. It's great to lock eyes with you and thank you in person. And I know your time is valuable and you're busy and you probably want to be home with your families, but it's a gift to the town that you're here tonight. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Well, thank you, everybody. Appreciate you so much. Okay.
Ms. Secure.
It is. That's right. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, we'll move on to our 7:05 consent agenda. We have a request to approve the following. A street closure for Cub Mobile Racing, applicant Erica Chilson, club master for PAC 100. This is taking place on October 18th. Rain date October 25th, and the time is from 10:30 to 4 p.m. The location is 5 Fisher Way to the Abbott School parking lot. We also have an event for the United Methodist Church Picnic. The applicant is David Welsh, and this is taking place on September 13th from 9:30 to 2 p.m. And the location is 10 Church Street to the intersection of Church Street and Broadway. Do we have a motion in support of those requests?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. We have our 7:08 agenda item, which is a request to approve a change of manager for the 99 Restaurants of Boston, LLC, at 333 Littleton Road.
And we have Mr. Birch online. I don't know if anybody else is with you, Mr. Birch.
I'm by myself.
Okay.
Fantastic. Want to take us through this? Is there anything?
Sure. So all the paperwork is in order from the town clerk's perspective. If you'd like to hear from Mr. Birch,
Sure.
related to the application.
Mr. Birch, anything that you'd like to say, the part of your application?
No, I'm really excited to work in Westford again, and I hope I'm here for a while. So.
Fantastic. Well, we're welcome you back. Any questions from the board? Any questions online or from the audience?
See anything?
Okay. With that, I'll ask for a motion in support of this request. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're right on time. So we have an update on health insurance.
Sure.
We have our town manager, who happens to be also the chair of the Health Insurance Trust.
just bring up a slide.
Sure.
All right. So we've had many conversations over the course of the past few months related to the town of Westford's health insurance, the health insurance trust, and how this relates to our overall budget and budget health. I'm pleased to report that the Health Insurance Trust met last Tuesday, August 18th, and voted 5-1 to move to a midpoint plus plan with a deductible and co-pays, as we discussed at your former select board meeting. This implementation is set for March 1st of 2027. It also goes hand in hand with the town putting forward a proposal to increase the employer contribution rate from 65% to 66% in the HMO and the saver plans. I did want to just put up the timeline this evening for you, as it's slightly different than what we saw before, just based upon schedules and when we could get the Health Insurance Trust to meet. So we met again on August 18th. To endorse that. Our broker is currently working on finalizing those plan design changes related to the costs. Tonight I'm giving you the update. We are going to be engaging the IAC and the PEC in informal discussions to inform them of this and finalizing that estimate. One of the things that has come up, because now we're willing to change the contribution rate, is that cannot be changed through the PEC process with the 30-day negotiation. It can be done through the informal coalition bargaining. So we're going to be moving forward soon with that informal coalition bargaining with the IAC and PEC. If that is not successful, and we're going to cut that off at a certain period of time if it's not successful, and then move to the formal PEC process. We are still moving towards our agreement path of having the March 1st implementation. So the agreement path would be by October 25th. We'd have a PEC majority vote and then finalize the final paperwork and have that written agreement, and then move forward with the notification to employees. So we also discussed at your last select board meeting and at the Health Insurance Trust that we would not be making any changes at this time to the supplemental plans for the retirees 65 and older. We did notice all of our employees and retirees that we have information for of where we are right now. We noticed them that there will be a rate adjustment November 1st for the existing plan design, which the Health Insurance Trust will be voting on September 1st, so next Tuesday. And we are still reviewing and considering a potential stop loss change from March 1st to November 1st to align with that plan renewal process as well. So that is a brief synopsis of where we are right now to date. Happy to answer any questions that the board may have this evening.
Well, thank you very much for that update, Kristen, and also want to publicly thank Sean for all the work he's done as our liaison to that trust. There's been a tremendous amount of work that he's put in, and over the summertime, nonetheless, vacation time, you are the man. So thank you for doing all that. Appreciate it, and you got us moving forward in the right direction. Any questions or comments for Kristen? Yes, Elizabeth.
Question. On the stop loss, are there two possible changes, both a change in the deductible and a possible change to the renewal date?
Those both are being considered by the trust, yes.
Okay. And are they independent, like one could happen without the other?
Correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, Sean?
I just have a comment. This has been a long process. I think we started this in probably June?
Well, it depends on what.
Right. But we tasked the Health Insurance Trust with this back in.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, around June. So this has been a long process. I want to thank my colleagues on the Health Insurance Trust. We asked a lot of them. There was a lot of meetings that needed to occur. I also want to thank our employees. As we kind of worked through this and found out how complicated health insurance can be and how many different avenues that need to be considered before you make changes to it. So I think at the end of the day that we got something that's a win-win for everyone. We're making some meaningful progress, hopefully to our plans that will not burden our employees with huge additional expenses. In fact, we're confident that a lot of them will actually save money under the proposed plan design changes. And it will also result in savings for the town, which is our duty to the taxpayer is paramount also. So thank you to everyone for the process. I know it's not done yet. There's still a lot that needs to occur. But we appreciate everyone's thoughtfulness and all the emails that we received. And thanks for coming along in this journey with us. And if you have questions, we're still here to have them and to answer them as we go along. So.
Thank you, Sean.
Yeah.
Well, on that line, communication-wise, so you've said you're notifying people about the November change, right? But has anybody been, when do we feel it's appropriate to notify the employees about this new set of changes?
They were also notified in that same email.
Okay.
And then there will be multiple notifications moving forward. There will be the PEC and IAC notifications.
Can you be specific about, like, are you talking about just a notification of like a meeting, or are those groups going to email out to?
Those groups do contact their respective groups. We also are taking it upon ourselves to make sure that we're noticing all of our employees and affected people every step of the way.
And at what point do we feel that people will have a pretty good understanding of what these changes will do to their bills? Is that something that can't happen until maybe the November after next, or March 1st, or when do we?
Well, the plan designs will be finalized in the next 2 weeks,
Mhm.
and then we can start building scenarios off of
Okay,
that.
that would be, I think, helpful, because I think there's a lot of angst, and a lot of questions that we saw was, well, what is this going to mean to us from a dollar
Yeah.
perspective? So the sooner we can answer that, that would be, I think, helpful for everybody involved. And I had one last question. You said the contribution mix, you're doing an informal, hopefully an informal process to get an agreement. If that fails, then you go to a formal process, and then if that further fails, what happens?
That goes to the state.
That's when we get to state involved. Okay,
Yes.
thank you. All right, any other questions? Okay, anything online?
I don't see anything on that.
Members of the audience, any comments, questions? Okay, great. And we're right on our 7:20, an update on the Acton Road Culvert Project, and here he is. Both of them, wow. We're getting even more. Hello, gentlemen.
Good evening.
All right, the floor is yours.
Great. So I'd like to start by congratulating Jeremy formally as our new assistant, there we go, as our new town engineer. His first public order of duty is to give the board an update on the Acton Road Culvert Project.
And before we do that, let's just take a quick step back, because people may not know who you are.
Sure.
So,
My name is Kyle Fox. I'm the Public Works Director.
thank you, Kyle.
Thanks, Chris.
Yep, no problem. And now we'll turn it over to our new town engineer.
Great. Thank you, good evening. As Kyle said, we're here tonight to provide the board with an update on the Acton Road Culvert Replacement Project. For reference, the culvert is located on Acton Road, a few hundred feet south of the Westford-Chelmsford town line. The existing metal culvert has exceeded its service life. It was identified back in 2021 in our town-wide culvert assessment as a priority for replacement. So during the initial design phase in 2024, we evaluated whether the culvert could be replaced while keeping Acton Road open to traffic. And ultimately, a phased construction approach was determined to be infeasible, and several detour options were evaluated with the town's transportation consultant at that time. And those options included Littleton Road, Slay Road, and Old Lowell Road. Littleton Road was removed consideration because it was already being used for the Boston Road detour in 2026. And adding a second detour to that road would create motorist confusion and traffic operational issues. Slay Road was not selected because it's a local subdivision type road. that's intended primarily to serve the residents on that roadway. And also a portion of that road has some pretty steep grades that exceed 10%. Old Lowell Road was ultimately selected as a detour route because it is a collector road that carries traffic from several surrounding roads. To minimize disruption and reduce the amount of time Acton Road would need to be detoured, the project was designed using precast concrete components to allow for accelerated construction. The construction contract was structured to limit the closure of Acton Road to a maximum of 5 days during the summer months between June 29th and August 22nd, while schools are on summer break and traffic volumes are typically lower. And the contract further included a penalty of $5,000 per day if the road is not reopened on time. The Acton Road culvert replacement was combined with a second culvert on North Main Street, and those two culverts together were advertised for construction bids back in February. Since that time, the engineering department has been working with the contractor to prepare the culverts for summer construction. The contractor's original schedule called for the Acton Road culvert to be replaced in late July, early August of this year. In anticipation of that work, the contractor installed the detour signs for the Acton Road culvert and bagged them with plastic bags. A minimum of 2 weeks' notice is required by the contractor before the road closure to allow for sufficient time to notify the public. And the public notifications will include roadside message boards, town news flashes, website updates, and social media posts. A definitive construction date was never established, therefore those communications weren't initiated. On July 31st, the engineering department was notified by the contractor that the delays with their precast concrete supplier would prevent them from meeting their original schedule. The contractor further informed us that the project would likely be delayed until September 9th, which was well beyond the road closure window allowed by contract. The Department of Public Works met with the contractor last week to discuss the project status and schedule, and following that meeting, the contractor agreed to prepare a recovery plan outlining how they propose to complete the work while minimizing impacts to schools, residents, and the traveling public. It was made clear that a full road closure and detour would not be permitted once the schools were back in session. Late last week, we received the contractor's initial recovery plan, which concluded that it would not be feasible to replace the culvert before the start of the school year. And it was recommended that construction be postponed until the summer of 2027. As part of that proposal, the contractor indicated that they would assume responsibility at no cost to the town for any temporary repairs that may be necessary should the culvert require attention before permanent replacement. So based on our review, the Department of Public Works agrees that it does not appear feasible to safely replace the culvert while maintaining open traffic on Acton Road, and that detouring the road during the school year could result in increased traffic impacts. We believe postponing the Acton Road culvert replacement until the summer of 2027 is a reasonable approach, while recognizing the possibility that the existing culvert could deteriorate further and require either temporary repairs or full replacement before next summer. So we'll continue to work with the contractor to reach an agreement on the postponement and establish the necessary contractual terms. And I'd just like to add, if the construction can be postponed until next summer, there could be an opportunity to reevaluate the detour route. With the Boston Road detour expected to be completed by that time, Littleton Road could again be considered as a potential detour road. However, it is Mass DOT-owned road, so it would be subject to their review and approval.
Thank you, Jeremy. Any questions for Jeremy? Yes.
Thank you for that. If we do delay it until the summer of '27, I mean, where are we at with that culvert? Can it last until then? Do we just wait to see if it falls down? Do we put something there temporarily to prevent that?
So I would suggest that we continue to monitor it. It's in poor condition. Back in 2021, it was identified as a priority. So as you're probably aware, a lot of our metal culverts have been failing quite frequently. So we'd continue to monitor. We've seen culverts like this with the rust and some section loss last another 3, 4, 5 years, and then we've seen them last another couple days. It's really hard to predict. One big storm or something changes. We recently had one on Forge Village Road where we witnessed a sinkhole, had to shut the road down, and then we made temporary repairs with putting just a temporary plastic pipe in until we can replace the culvert next year.
Yeah, I'm wondering if maybe a temporary pipe, putting it in just, to, you know, so that something like that doesn't happen. Might be wise.
It's possible. Our recommendation would be to monitor it, and then if something does happen, then we can address it then.
Any other questions? Tom?
Understand the recommendation, makes sense. Is were there to be a sudden deterioration event, what would that look like? Like, because you don't have someone on call to come repair it, so would you be talking about weeks of closure, or?
Well, that's one thing we want to work with the contractor. They're willing to be on the hook for making repairs, so we have to work out those details. Should there be an emergency, that they'll respond within a certain amount of time. And our expectation would be it's an emergency. It's Acton Road that they need to come out, you know, once we notify within a certain amount of time. Again, that's a detail we need to work out.
Jeremy, could you just, I know I gave the board this information, but maybe for the public, when Forge Village was closed a week and a half ago, I was notified, you know, that afternoon, and I believe the road was reopened in a day or less. So
Right.
do you think that is,
We anticipate something like that.
if there
happening.
was a catastrophic failure over the course of this winter, we feel that could be
Yeah.
remedied within a day or
Correct. So with Forge Village Road, the engineering department was actually up, because that culvert is getting replaced next year with a permanent replacement. And we noticed there was a sinkhole on the road. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we had a contractor mobilized, maybe it was the next morning.
That afternoon.
That afternoon, they were on site, and the next morning making the repairs. Which again was just putting in a plastic pipe. Once we do the permanent repair, it's going to be bigger, there's going to be head walls, but they were able to put a pipe that can convey Botwell Brook, you know, for the next year.
Unfortunately, with the number of metal covers that we have, we're getting a fair amount of practice at these quick repairs. But
Thank you. Sean?
Yeah, thanks, Jeremy. So the question that I have is, I can see it on the map. I'm unfamiliar exactly where this is. How close is it to like a structure or a building or someone's property? So if it were to fail, is there concerns about that it could damage the structure or anything like that?
No, we don't believe there's any damage to the structure. If it failed and we had a rainstorm, it would back up.
Okay.
And there's I think, fairly large
Wetlands
catchment
on either
area.
side.
Yeah, so.
It would cause certainly a road closure, right?
Yeah,
For the time
road
to-
closure would
yeah.
have damage to the road would be passable.
Okay.
But it's right near, upstream is the Bruce Marina Rail Trail, and then there's just a large open land off Greenwood Road.
Well,
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I also love the idea of waiting until next summer and looking at if we can use Route 110, because Old Little Road, I drive that's like my kind of get away from Four Corners to get to Acton kind of way to go. And there's a lot of runners, strollers, and it's a really windy road. So to see this traffic go down that road, to me, doesn't really feel that great. So it's another reason that I would definitely support putting this off until next summer.
These projects are always challenging because of something, you know, if we need to shut the road down, we have to displace that traffic and put it
Right.
somewhere. And unfortunately, our first option would have been Littleton Road, but with the Boston Road detour already on that road, there's just, it
What
just
was
can't
that?
be done.
Gone
But-
next summer.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's it,
Serendipitously, I
yeah,
think this could be
yeah.
good. Yeah.
Elizabeth?
Thank you for all the updates. My question is, just for big picture, is it, in communication, is it common for a contractor to put up the signs before many parts of the, like, I didn't know about it coming, maybe I should have, but just the signs showed up before what I would have thought was a communication change, but I don't know for sure what it should be.
So usually 2 weeks before, we'll put out, like I said, the message boards, we'll
Right.
put out things on Facebook, we'll publish the detour route, you know, Westford Police Department will put it on their Facebook page. The contractor approached us, said, hey, we want to be ready to go, save this culvert as well as another, and said, can we put up the detour signs, and we'll bag them. At that point, we had a date of August 10th, and we let them do it. And then they asked, could they put up the message boards? And I said, no, not until I have something definitive from your precaster. Ultimately, they couldn't provide it, and then the precaster's schedule slipped and it was delayed.
So in this case, it was partly because our contractor had multiple jobs, that normally signs don't go up.
They were just really trying to get ahead of it and make sure they
Advance
could,
notice, yeah.
they could make the deadline of August 22nd to make sure both these culverts were installed and opened. And the other culvert is, if you're familiar with the day school, it's
Yes.
literally, 50 feet from the entrance. So they wanted to get that done as well, so.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I had a couple, just because since you brought up this other culvert, is that one been done then, the one in front of day school? So
It's
that's
not. It's
still, we've got a problem there as well.
Correct. So
Okay.
this, the recovery plan was for both. And that because its location would, not support doing that while school's in session. It would be very disruptive.
Not to get too much in the weeds, you mentioned as part of your opening remarks that you analyzed other mechanisms to do this repair without closing the road. What are some of the limiters there? Is it just a technical problem? Is it a cost problem? Is it both? Because I mean, obviously, we all see bridges being repaired and kept open at the same time. What's the challenge here?
So the restrictions, so we did use the precast concrete, so those get
It's just
manufactured, they
one
show up, they get set with either the excavator, the crane, and they're ready to go, as opposed to having to pour foundations and things like that. When we looked at phase construction, that was our initial thought, how do we keep this road open and, keep it open to traffic and construct at the same time? It's just, that area is just so narrow, you have wetlands on both sides, so you'd have to expand, and there'd be a fair amount of wetlands filling, environmental impacts. And then there's also the cost. I think our engineer originally said it would be north of $150,000 more to do it that way. And then the construction gets, the construction duration becomes, rather than 5 days of closure, maybe it's a month and a half, 2 months, whatever it might be. And that's still going to be a disruption of traffic because it's going to be single lane during the day. So, so those are kind of the limiting things. We talked to some contractors saying, realistically, what is the shortest duration we could have and get this project done? And in those 5 days, beyond that, they do have the capability of having, single lane alternating traffic closures to finish the guardrail, do those things. But it was, important just to have the 5-day closure during the summer when there's lower traffic.
Understood.
Recognizing the impacts to the detour.
Just because there has been some confusion about signage, and this is no fault of our own, but just recently now have signs up saying that the road's going to be closed. Can you guys just speak to that? Because I know it's not our project, but it is impacting that general area, and just let the public know what's going on there.
Are you speaking with
Chelmsford,
Chelmsford?
the Chelmsford
So
project.
we found out late last week that Chelmsford was planning on closing Acton Road to make some drainage repairs. I don't believe it's a culvert. And I think, they were aware that we were going to be closing the road, so their initial plan was to do that while we had the road closure. But they told us that this drainage needs to get replaced this year. And it's advertised right now for 2 days, and it's 7 to 3, so it's not overnight. It's just during the day and not the peak PM hours. And it's possible that it's just 1 day.
Thank you for clarifying. My last question or comment really is, we're talking about detours. I mean, it seems to me, so if I'm traveling southbound on, 27, we're going to detour people off at Kate's Corner down South Chelmsford all the way to Littleton, and then have them go all the way down Littleton Road to Carlisle. I mean, that's a heck of a detour.
It is.
Is that really our second or our top option? I mean,
To keep it on, arterial roads, that would be our option.
so let's just talk a little bit about the two, like you've mentioned arterial, you've mentioned, I forget how you classify sleigh. Why would we not want, why is sleigh not an option in this time?
So when we looked at Slay originally, we talked to our transportation consultant reviewing that as a local subdivision style road that's just servicing those residents. When we looked at Old Low Road, it's a collect road, recognizing it is narrow, there's some curves. With Slay Road as well, there's a fairly significant grade on going down on the section that goes down towards Acton Road on the Chelmsford side. So the majority of Slay Road would be in Chelmsford. So for those reasons, we decided to proceed with Old Low Road.
And I think it's important to remember that we're not just talking passenger cars, we're talking tractor trailers. And the thought of putting tractor trailers on Slay Road, both the climb up from Chelmsford side, or the descent down, where they'd likely be using jake brakes, and certainly that would be really awful for the residents who live there. And like Jeremy said, the subdivision roads just really aren't intended for that kind of commercial and industrial traffic.
Thank you for that clarification. Any other comments, questions from the board, unless, before I open up to the public for comment? No? All right, if there's anybody from the public that'd like to speak to this matter, please come forward.
Sure.
You can just let us know who you are, your name and your address, sir.
My name is Doug Burns. I live at 4 Black Bear Lane, which is one of the feeder roads off of Old Lowell Road. Can I hand out anything to you guys or not?
I think that's fine, sure. Just
Sure.
if you could just hand it to Jeff and he can.
Because this is what I'm going to talk to. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Why don't you sit up there? Oh, thanks.
Thank you.
Jeff gave us this.
Oh, okay. I'll give one. Police department. Thank you, sir. So let's talk about Old Lowell Road.
Sure.
So on the first side, I have a map that was lifted from the work that Jerry had presented that was part of the packet for today. Only I highlighted what's going on Old Lowell Road. It may be a feeder, it may be a connector road by definition, but that road was never meant to be a high-traffic road. When I first moved into town, the way the town used to pave it was they dumped rock and oil on it. It does not have a substantial base underneath it. So now you're talking putting tractor trailers on it. So for the same reason that we don't want to do it on Slade Road, I don't think we should be doing it on Old Lowell Road. Old Lowell Road, if we start from the Chelmsford end, we have a Y intersection that enters our road. So people coming from two different directions feeding into one thing. The number of times I've watched cars almost collide because no one knows who has the right of way. And it's Massachusetts after all, no one's going to grant it. So now we're going to take and, I don't know, 10x the traffic in there? Is that safe? The next one is, as we come up to Jefferson and Roberts Road, there are slight turns in those areas and they're blind. If you're on one direction, you can't see around the corner, you can't see the runners. So what's your natural inclination? You shift to the left to make sure you don't hit a runner who's behind one of the trees. Oh, unless there's a semi-tractor trailer coming the other way. And so those roads are blind in those areas. Greenwood Road, when you go up the hill by Greenwood Road and you come around that corner, it's totally blind. It's also narrower. And so where does a pedestrian or bicyclist go? If you come up, what do people do on a blind road like that when they're going around a corner and they know they are? They hug the corner. They cannot move to the left. And if there's a car there, they better not be going too fast, which is often the case, because they will hit a runner. Take the number of, now we're used to this, right? Because we've been living there forever. But people who've never traveled this road, getting on this road, not a good idea. Sequoia Road. Cars pulling out from Sequoia, when they're pulling out, when they look to the left, that's a blind corner to them. And people come around that corner at about 40 miles an hour. There is no time to react to the person pulling out if they're making a left-hand turn or right. They have to be very careful. Even crossing the road, when I walk in the neighborhood there, watching the road, I won't cross at Sequoia. I walk down closer to Black Bear, and then I cross because I have a line of sight. The S-turn by Wayne Road is literally a totally double blind road. You can't see what's coming at you, nor can they see you. And you're going through there. Cars are very close to each other today as they go through that S-bend. If there's runners or bicyclists on the road, you better bring the car to a stop. Now, we're gonna put a semi-tractor through there. The semi is gonna take the whole lane, both lanes, because it can't navigate that turn. So, now I put a UPS truck coming the other way. Boom, we're gonna hit. I put 2 UPS trucks going the same way, they might hit. I don't have to have giant trucks, but I mean, when we have the lawn service trucks and tractors going through there, one car. So now we're gonna double, triple, 10 times the traffic on the road and think we're gonna be safe. We did a survey, 189 people on the Old Lowell and the rate all believe using Old Lowell Road is a real bad idea. I provided that information to the select board and to all the town members. The number keeps going up on that. More people keep signing it. So like I said, today it's 189 people. Think of the number of people that we have available in that area, just that stretch of Old Lowell Road and those things. So Old Lowell Road may be classified as connector road, but all of these special conditions say don't use that road. It's not what the connector road is supposed to be. So it's a bad definition to use. Old Lowell Road is 19 foot wide. A semi-tractor is 8 foot. And with its mirrors is 11. And the DOT states that the road should be at least 24 foot wide. So we're already violating that. The S turn makes it worse. I stated that Old Lowell Road was never designed to carry this type of volume because it was a cow road, right? Back in the day, that's where the cows went, that's why it winds the way it does. And we put asphalt on it, and it's been that way forever. But it's not meant for hundreds of cars. You know, the stated primary objective was to be safe and clear traffic operation. This does not meet, using Old Lowell Road does not meet the safe part to any of the residents along Old Lowell Road. The duration. The duration is stated as 5 days. That's for the full closure. But then we go to the one-way closure. So that means people will still be using the detours because traffic's going to back up. So we know what people are going to do. They're going to take the detours. How long? A week? Another month? Replacing the culvert at the end of Old Lowell Road, which was done extremely efficiently by the town. 3 months. So is that what we're talking about, if we're going to be realistic? So the residents of Old Lowell Road, by this petition, are stating very loudly that, not that Old Lowell Road can't be used in a pinch, but there should be no trucks allowed on that road, and it shouldn't be considered as part of this. 110 is the right solution, and if next summer we use 110, that's great. You know, when we originally did this, we said, oh, we could go down Tadmuck to the traffic lights. Summer, coming up South Chelmsford, you know, on Tadmuck, Summer Street. No, we ruled that out because of the 110 traffic. I mean, the Boston Road closing. That's where their traffic is coming from. So you don't use that. Use another exit. So I'm asking the board to say, we're not going to use Old Lowell Road, period. And that's what the residents along that area are asking. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you for your comments, appreciate it.
I do have one online.
Okay, great. Yep. If anyone has questions, I'll answer them.
Thank you.
I'm Carol Burns, and I live at 4 Black Bear Lane. I happen to be his wife. And I'd like to make a couple of points. Sleigh Road is going to be used for their detour of the pipes in Chelmsford. So if it can be used for their detour of the pipes in Chelmsford, why can't it be used for this? It is a lot quicker to go down Sleigh Road and back in. and their road also happens to be wider than Old Lowell. Also, Old Lowell is not marked with any yellow lines down the center of the road. So that's a big problem. And I'm just telling you guys, you're setting yourself up for disaster if you choose this road. There is going to be accidents. And I don't want to see the town held liable for that or anybody else personally. That's my opinion.
Thank you. Why don't we take the comment from online?
So Vivian, if you want to unmute and,
Hello, can you hear me?
yes.
Okay, so I have lived off of Old Lowell Road for 35 years.
Vivian, if you could just, Vivian, I'm sorry, could you just give us your full name and address, please? Just for
Oh,
our
sure.
audience? Thank you.
My name is Vivian Vitale, and I live at 25 Steeplechase Circle, which is off of Old Lowell Road. Then we go to Vose Road, and Steeplechase is off that. During the last construction that was going on, Vose Road was used as a cutoff for a detour for some of the construction that was done very efficiently. The folks from Black Bear did their research and expressed, my concern about this. My concern is a safety concern. The road is a treacherous road, and I have lived it and driven on it for 35 years. And even though I know every corner of that road, I can't tell you how many times I have almost hit someone or have been surprised by seeing someone. The piece that I don't think got emphasized enough here, the woman on the select board brought up the point, she knows the area. People use this like a country road. I think they are crazy. I used to walk this road when I did my warning walks. It's too treacherous to walk anymore because people travel down that road, so much faster, and we just have more traffic in town than we did before. Anybody unfamiliar with that road tends to speed on that road and doesn't know all the blind spots that was just pointed out. But there's not only runners, there's people with strollers, there's dogs. The Westford track team runs that road. And I appreciate that some accommodations were made to move this to the summer, but in the summer, then we have a lot of people have lawn services. The lawn services that come in have these massive trucks. Sometimes you can't get by them either, right? And so I really, really worry for the safety of our residents and again, the liability for the town. We are not, those of us that live here are not being alarmist on this. We are being realist about it. And I didn't even know about this. I found about it through Facebook group. I also wish there was a way that other than the Facebook groups, that we could find out more about what's going on in the town. We could subscribe to something that we get regular updates so we do know what's going on, because it was just happenstance that I found out about this. But it's something I feel very strongly about and really want you folks to know, how concerned we are. And I appreciate that the work that the team has done to try to come up with the best solution here. But sounds to me like Sleigh Road is probably a better alternative or 110 than Vose Road just because of safety. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much for your comments. Appreciate it. Yes, ma'am. Yep, please.
Than Doug. Good evening. My name is Amy Witherby, and I'm a resident of 25 Old Lowell Road. And I just had a couple of thoughts because I don't want to reiterate Doug's extensive semi-engineering kind of discussion about the road. I wanted to speak to a few other items. One being, I think, as Mr. Burns noted, the dangerousness of that double-blind curve, which is where I actually live. And in my letter strongly objecting to this, I sent you a lovely photograph from 8 years ago of a Volvo that was launched, not in terrible winter weather, but in somewhat slick weather, that literally landed on top of my stone wall. And that woman was only not injured because her car hit a lovely little sapling that I had there, and it leaned her car and protected her from rolling over. I'm not saying she was speeding, I'm saying it's a very, very dangerous curve. That is only one of a number of incidences we've had on that curve in every kind of weather. I see my Westford police officers go around that corner. They go very nice and slow, but I will tell you, we have seen more than one person unfamiliar with the curves on Old Lowell Road, just thinking it's a lovely, I don't know, F1 track. And speaking of the 250, the F1 track that's going down Old Lowell, and I will say, I don't walk on Old Lowell. I will cross the street and go up around the other road because I would not do that. My husband bicycles on Old Lowell. I wouldn't do that either. We have a lot of bicyclists coming through from Concord. It's a road that's used for public runs, Live for Live. They run down through there, they bike through there. We have a lot of activities on that road. I just want to say that I feel very strongly there's not a recognition, or was not a recognition. If there was a recognition of Slay with a grade, I am very concerned DPW didn't take a drive through there and did a recognition of the dangerousness of that road. So that's one issue. I'm not going to, again, repeat what Doug said, but what I will also say is I think my agitation about this scenario was the absolute complete lack of notification to the residents. My neighbor, who's here, is living in a relatively new house on our road. When they began the building of construction of those sites and the building of constructions of 2 houses up above us, they sent us a notification that they were going to have to do something with a driveway. We came down here, we argued for the animals. We said, no, this is a great we have conservation land, we want to fight, and they did whatever they wanted to do. In this situation, from 2021, when this culvert was identified, not a single resident was notified that this potentially was going to be an issue for us. I find that more disturbing than anything else, that there was no notification. It's as if you were not my neighbor. If my neighbor changes his driveway, I have to be notified. In this case, you're talking about massive car influxes to a road that's very dangerous, and we were not notified. That is my issue, and that is what got me here tonight. So I really want to give that back to my representatives of the town. I will say, I read the engineering report, I thought it was excellent. I'm a contracting person by work. I thought the contract you tied to those individuals was strong, good, and you held them to be accountable to what they said they were going to do, and then you stopped them when they couldn't do it. I think the contracting and the work on that side was excellent. I think the communication to the residents of this road and our ability to give feedback before this was ever decided was lax. And that is why I'm here tonight. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public? Yep.
Good evening. My name is Barbara Viren, and I live at 17 Old Lowell Road, and I've lived in the same house for 61 years and been a resident of Old Lowell Road for 68 years because my parents built on Old Lowell Road before that, before I was married. So I have a little experience with Old Lowell Road, and we've watched many neighborhoods expand off of Old Lowell Road. Many of the homes have at least 2 automobiles per home, which is typical today, if not more. And it's worked out fine because they're neighbors, they know the road. The road was designated a scenic road some years ago. It means it doesn't get widened, there are no sidewalks, it stays the same as it was for many, many years, first a cow path, as we were told. And I just want you to consider what the road is and has been, and the dangers that it puts the residents in, as well as those that are less familiar with the road, when they start using it and find out it isn't a straightaway. There are many curves, and there are significant little knolls that are blind blind spots for people entering from their driveways and neighborhoods, as well as new people coming through and not being aware that people coming out of their driveways can't see as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Yep, come on up.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rashida Rangwala. I'm a resident of 27 Old Lowell Road. I am Amy's neighbor. You've all received the video that Arush Badkar sent. That video is right outside my driveway. We see near accidents happening there almost every day. When you go around that corner, that is where the school bus stop is. Now, that was not a setup. That has actually happened in real time. That's when he took it. And he took it like in one day. This was done, I think I had a deadline to send it very quickly. He was working on it and he sent it. So I just wanted to let you know. One of the things that I did was when I saw those boards going down, I called the town offices, and without mentioning this person's name, I was told we receive a lot of pushback when there is a residential road taken as a detour road, that we get pushback. Expressing safety concerns is not pushback. All right? We're really concerned about the people living on that road. I run on that road, and I cannot imagine facing trucks coming down that road. I'm a marathoner, I train on that road. And I'm telling you, choosing this road, I don't even know why it was considered. We were not given notices, and I think giving the excuse that, oh, we were just going to put up the roads. But even after the roads were put up, when I sent emails, I did not receive any satisfactory reply. We all neighbors talked to each other. We all got a paste and stick reply, to which I replied. And I didn't get replies to that reply too. So this lack of communication is just unacceptable. There's a few more things I would like to talk about. When I call the offices, the same individual tells me it's only for 5 days. It takes 1 second for an accident to take place. This is a residential road. I cannot emphasize that enough. There is not one bus stop, there are multiple bus stops. And also, whether it's a school year or not, this road should just not be considered, period. Even during the summer, when supposedly you think it is safe enough to be used as a detour, it's not. In fact, you have more bikers coming down that road, more runners coming out. Mothers are out there with their children walking. We, in fact, have a lady who walks with her handicapped child in a wheelchair on that road, and you're planning to send trailer trucks down this road. I would really like to reiterate, why were we not informed? I know this lame excuse that the project was delayed and that only 2 weeks notice is given. When this road was selected, none of us were given an opportunity. This is a big change for us. It's a small country road, and yet none of us were informed. And I think like when we called the town offices, our concerns were just poo-poo-pod. We don't care. We really don't. Like, we're just going to push you away. Let's send out a generic reply. When I got those generic replies, I got so angry. I called Carol and Doug. They were equally angry, and that's when I realized I was not the only one angry. There were a lot more people angry, and we got, like, I think we were at, I forget, we were like at 90 signatures within a day and a half. And then we found out that the meeting was delayed, and it is still growing. And I'm telling you, whether you select this road now, or in the summer, or later on, bad idea. Thank you.
Thank you for the feedback. Any other comments from the online, or, okay. Any feedback from the board? Seeing that public comment? Yes, Tom.
So, I guess 2 questions. One is just reiteration of what the normal notification for something like this is, just for all of us. And then it sounds like Plan A is to pursue 110 as an option next summer. I don't know if you can handicap the odds of getting the state to approve that, or if you can just give us a sense of what's typical I'm trying to mentally calibrate the likelihood that we're able to execute on that plan, which seems to be preferred, and how ready we need to be to scramble if that's not.
Yeah, I can certainly reach out to DOT now. I mean, the summer of 2027 is a ways off. And then there's the Boston Road project that we're going to be meeting with Mass DOT and the contractor for that in the next couple of weeks. So we'll have more information, but I can certainly reach out to DOT now to find out, whether, a 5-day detour next summer with the Boston Road detour not in place, whether we could get, a detour approved for that. I did talk to our transportation consultant, and they didn't seem to think that it would be, for a 5-day detour with the traffic from Acton Road, that it would be significant enough that they would not approve that type of detour.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
So with the amount of traffic that would come from Acton Road, it wouldn't be significant enough where they felt DOT would say no, we'd have to retime the signals and make other accommodations. Right now, the Boston Road detours on that road, and Boston Road carries a significant amount of traffic, much more than Acton
So it seems
Road.
likely they'd approve it, and we can actually pre-clear it.
It seems likely, and we would ahead of time. We need to have an access permit, which, but again, we can reach out now and start that discussion and to see what.
That would be helpful.
Yeah.
And then the normal notification, like what would trigger the notification to the residents in a typical scenario?
So in the past, it's been a 2-week notification. Once the project or once the detour is going to go into place, we put out the message boards, we put out Facebook posts, we put out other posts.
Okay, and because basically it never materialized, that's why it was sort of hanging out there without notification.
Correct.
Whether or not that's acceptable, just understanding the mechanics of it.
Right. So what happened here is they put out the detour signs and bagged them. A lot of the bags were transparent, so people could see the signs. And then again, as I mentioned earlier, we were told that the project was happening on a certain date, and the detour signs were going up, 3 weeks beforehand, a week before the notification, I believe it might have been. And then we found out there was delays. So those message boards never got out because we didn't have those firm dates, and we didn't want to publicize a date and then have it not be accurate and then have to push that, create even more confusion.
So just to add to that, I did have conversations with DPW Director Fox last week to understand your same question about what has been the standard notification for detours within the town of Westford. We did talk about potentially enhancing that or moving to a different procedure moving forward. We do know when a sidewalk project is going to be built through the Pedestrian Safety Committee and other methods. There is a public outreach period. So the DPW has indicated that they'd be willing to look at some sort of review related to detours in the future, but we have not fleshed anything out at this time.
Yeah, I do think a policy similar to what you just mentioned that we follow with pedestrian improvements has really paid off with these types of situations where we are potentially impacting residents. So I would totally encourage us to take a stab at drawing up a similar policy document for this. I would also think that a 2-week notification might be a little tight, especially if we're looking in the August timeframe where a lot of people are on vacation. They probably might miss these things. They show up from vacation, and the next thing you know, 3 days later, this is happening. So maybe we want to consider a 4-week notification, something along those lines. But we'll let that, you guys think about that, and then plan on coming back to us and maybe another month or two with a draft policy document that we can review. I guess, I think one of the real conundrums we have right now is the lack of knowing when this is going to happen. And so I'm having a real hard time wrapping my head around if this thing has an emergency failure and we can't use Boston Road, our plan B, it does not sound palatable. So I think we also need to take another hard look at other options. So I don't know how you guys do this analysis. I'm just going to throw out a what if, but could we do something in which heavy truck traffic goes down one detour, but passenger car traffic goes down another detour? Is that feasible? Is that something that's been done? So in other words, 18-wheelers get directed to 110, passenger cars go down Slay Road. Just spitballing here. Is that something that's ever done in the past?
Yeah, I've certainly seen things like that. Typically, that would be on a more comprehensive, longer-term project.
Yeah.
Due to the complexity of that kind of effort. But yes, I've seen those kind of things happen. One of the things that happens with detours, and we heard this a lot before we ventured on the Boston Road detour, there was a lot of sentiment from Crown Road residents all the way over to Fairview. And I think it worked out very well, fortunately. I think both us and the police would say that there's been very few complaints to that. And that's what we always strive for. We do understand the difficulty. You know, everything we do is public, and everything we do is disrupting somebody. And that's not the funnest part of the job, but it's part of the job. And we always try to make the best ethical, professional engineering decisions. And given the constraints, we still feel that this was a correct decision. Obviously, hearing the feedback over the last couple of weeks, there's areas we could have improved. Certainly, communication is chief among them. And I guess the unfortunate delay from the precaster has given us an opportunity to maybe try something different. But
Okay. So one item that was brought up was, yes, the road's closed both directions for 5 days, but there's a potential to have it closed in one direction for an extended period of time outside of that. Is that correct?
That's just during the day where it'd be reduced to one lane with police details alternating traffic.
And that's going to take place for how long?
Well, it's depending on how much they get done. You know, so the 5-day closure, they'll get the culvert, the box culvert in, and most likely the wing walls. Then beyond that, it's, you know, they may have to put up temporary Jersey barriers for guardrail before they can get the guardrail set. The 5-day closure for Acton Road, it's relatively narrow and straightforward. The contractor doesn't believe there's a whole lot of extra work, but, you know, blooming and seeding and putting the guardrail, milling some mulch, the final details, recreating the stream bed on both sides, that type of work. So I don't imagine it would be for an extended period of time.
But you don't see, do you see a detour in place when the one lane is open?
No detour, no. The road's open during normal business hours, 7 to 3. After 3, the road opens back up. It's completely open to two-way traffic. So it's just like a typical construction zone.
Okay. But not a 3-month situation like we saw with Old Lowell's culvert construction.
Correct.
Something much less than that. Any other comments, thoughts? I guess I think we have to figure out how are we proceeding here? So does it sound like you're gonna maybe reanalyze the potential reroute, detour, and maybe come up with another option, or are you standing firm with, hey, if this thing blows up 2 months from now, we're gonna route everybody down Old Lowell?
well, like Jeremy said, we can certainly look at working with DOT right away to kind of get that permission. If the culvert were to fail November, December timeframe, the Boston Road detour isn't up. That would present that opportunity all winter long, because that detour is going to be done once the winter hits. So we would deal with that, as it comes. And I will say one of the issues, we heard tonight some testimony about the answers that both Jeremy and I were giving, during this interim period while we were waiting for tonight's meeting. And I'm not trying to make an excuse. I think I'm a pretty straight shooter.
Absolutely.
I will say one of the complications we've had, we have a contract with a contractor that has very specific terms and requirements. And when we learned, within the last 2 weeks, that they weren't going to be able to meet their commitment, we have legal stuff that we have to work through on that side, and that prevents us from giving definitive answers because we're still trying to figure out what the path looks like. So I know it was obviously frustrating to some of our residents. And I guess by way of answering the why, that was a big part of the why, is we weren't able to be as free with our answers as we normally like to be.
Thank you for that. Okay. If there's nothing else, do we want to have them come back with another update at another time, or are we comfortable just letting things go as is? Tom?
I think once we know that that the state is going to approve the 110, that would be a nice update letter for us to get in our packet. It would be nice if we could go to the community members that are here just so we know what that plan is. And I think the idea of reviewing the notification and having there be more public process like there's with sidewalks is a great idea. Are we the approving authority for that change, or is that just something that would be notified to us?
I don't believe the select board is an appointing authority. I think it would just be a practice from DPW.
The select board approved the policy that we use for the pedestrian safety committee. So the town engineer drafted that, brought that to select board, got it approved. I think it would make sense for us to follow the same practice.
So maybe those two things, Kyle and Jeremy, would be something, an update as to whether or not the DPW is able to change their timing of notifications and the like. And then also, what's the contingency fee, the contingency plan if culverts to fail? Because it sounds like we're really only debating what happens in the next 2 months, right? Because anything after December would either be addressed because Boston Road's closed or because we'd have time to get something from the state. Is that right?
I mean, it's likely if something were to happen next month, we'd do something similar to like Forge Village Road, which is pretty much like a day.
Okay.
It wouldn't be a 5-day. We would not, I don't foresee us trying to get the full box culvert installed in those
Okay.
cold weather conditions, because we're gonna end up with a product that isn't, I'd question whether it would last long term. You know, there's paving that is going right on top of the structure, it's cold. I don't think it would support that. I think it would be just get a temporary pipe in there, get some temporary pavement back on the road and keep it open till we can get to next year.
So to that point, Chris, I would suggest that we have them back, or at least have a memorandum or something that becomes part of our packet that the town manager can speak on as to what the proposal is and how this is being addressed.
I think that you're
Yeah.
sort of echoing what Tom was
Yeah.
suggesting.
Yeah.
It seems fair. Is that the will of the board? Okay. Does that make sense, Kyle? and
Absolutely.
Jeremy? Okay. Okay, well, with
I
that,
have a question.
yes, ma'am.
Can you please clarify if the DOT has to approve these detours?
If there's a detour on Boston Road, they own and operate, 110 Littleton Road, they own and operate 110, so
So
that's what we
not-
talked about, we'd have to get an access permit.
So not Old Lowell, because that's owned by the town.
It's a town owned.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for your comments and your feedback tonight. Appreciate it, and thank you both for your time. I believe you're staying with us, at least both of you? Okay, so we'll move on to our 7:30 agenda item, which is a request to consider an all-way stop intersection at Lowell Road, at Chamberlain Road, and Brookside Road.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
So this is a project that came around kind of quickly this late summer. Back in July, I received an email from a resident of that area expressing concern over safety at the intersection and the number of crashes that he's experienced and witnessed, and asking for some consideration of safety improvement. I think the initial request asked for traffic signals. Not being very familiar with that intersection, I did take a drive out to look at it. I did note that, there were some challenges in the geometry of the road, the sight distance due to vegetation on private properties because of the curve on Lowell Road in particular. Some of the grades, Chamberlain Road can be a little steep, and so certainly I thought there was enough there to move another step. So I contacted Captain Brield to try and get some accident history. And he right away took a look back and just so I don't misspeak. Forget where I have it. There was a number of accidents over the last number of years. I think. Yeah, that's the DOT data. I think it was 19 over the past number of years, but in the last 3 years there were 9 accidents. So given that and our recent history with the all-way stop program that MassDOT supported last year, and we took advantage of on the two the two Forge Village Road intersections, I thought, this seemed like a good candidate The entry period for round 2 of that program had already passed, but I contacted DOT to see if they would have capacity to add this one project for review. And thankfully, being good colleagues, they agreed to do the engineering study for us. And that study was in your packets. So after their review, they immediately sent their consultant out to do traffic counts and turning movements. Basically, they have someone monitoring the traffic for a full 24-hour period to get the total volume of traffic on each leg. And they have someone there monitoring the turning movements of the intersection, of each leg of the intersection during the peak hours, morning and afternoon. They take that data and they put it into a computer software program that models the traffic and delays. And one of the things it gives us is a level of service, existing condition with a two-way stop and Lowell Road being a through condition versus a all-way stop, and what does that do to the traffic delay? In this case, the post all-way stop scenario still resulted in a level of service A, which means very minimal delays, which was good. So that was part of making this a good candidate for an all-way stop. So coupled with the geometry challenges of the roadways, the level of service, the crash history, they are recommending it for an all-way stop. Again, very similar to the 2 intersections we did last year. So we're very supportive of this concept. The next step would be if the select board does agree to it, they would send us an MOU to sign. We'd sign the MOU and they would send us the signs to install. So we would install the signs. There's extra signage installed initially because it's such a big change. We put the message board out 2 weeks prior to doing anything out there to let the public know that a change is coming. We'd have additional signage on, you notice there's stop signs on both sides of the road, which is not a typical thing, but we would do that for the first 6 months of the project, again, like we did on the last projects. We're responsible for doing the new stop bars, refreshing those, make sure they're fresh, any additional signage or notifications that we need to do. And like last time, we would publish it in a newsflash, put it on our Facebook page, and hopefully have the same success that we've heard about on the Forge Village Road intersections. One of the other things we're looking to do, you'll notice both the Chamberlain Road, what I call the throat, where it meets up with Lowell Road, and Brookside Road throat are fairly wide, untypically wide. Part of that is because of the slight skew they are to Lowell Road, but we've had Anthony, our staff engineer, do some analysis to look if there's an opportunity to narrow up those throats. Again, like we did last year on Town Farm Road. And there is an opportunity, so we're going to look to do that as well as part of the project. Anyone who drives through Town Farm Road knows we did that last fall at that one, and largely it's been very successful. Part of the reason to do that, if you read the DOT analysis, the stop sign for the Brookside Road approach is about 85 feet from the intersection, which is out of compliance for where it should be. But the reason it's so far back is because the pavement is so wide there, we can't actually put it where it belongs. By narrowing up the pavement throat, we'll be able to put the sign where it belongs, which is better for safety. Additionally, it's better for pedestrian and bicycle safety because it forces cars to make that more 90-degree turn rather than that kind of California ride through the stop sign approach. So like I said, we're very supportive of this concept and this project, and we think it'll make a big difference. Shortly after we initiated this project with DOT, unfortunately, there was another accident, a fairly significant accident at this intersection. So again, I think it'll make a big difference, and hope you support it.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the board? Yeah.
I just have a comment. I live right down the street from here, and I had actually emailed Kristen after the most recent accident suggesting that maybe we can look into having a four-way stop here.
Okay, done.
Yeah, fully in, I know,
That's
I'm
service.
fully in support of this.
Right.
And, you know, I drive through this intersection at least once a day. And the width of it, you know, people cutting, you know, if I'm going left, someone thinks I'm not over enough, they could cut me off. And just the amount of traffic that goes so fast down Old Mill Road, I really think that just like on Forge Village Road, this will slow that down, at least in this one little spot. And I am very happy about this. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments from the board? Members of the public?
Hi, Lori Oliver, 110 Lowell Road. I live on the corner of Brookside and Lowell. And that was the site of the significant accident that just happened. I'm very much in support of this. I've lived there for 33 years, and over the years, I've called the police many times after hearing a crash at that intersection. So it's been a big concern, and I'm really glad that something's going to be done about it. I did look up some data from 2018 to 2026. There were 14 accidents in 7.5 years and 3 accidents so far this year. So I urge you to accept this wonderful idea. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Lori.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm the culprit who sent the mail to Kyle because I live at the corner of the Brookside and it's been...
And sir, just for the record, just to let us know who you are.
Yeah, my name is Rakesh. I live at 2 Brookside Road. I've been living there for almost 26 years. And from 2008 onwards, I have been working from home. I've heard the bang almost every other week. And the last accident that happened, one of the car, SUV, I think it smashed into her yard, and the passenger was stuck in the car for almost 1.5 to 2 hours, okay, before he was out. And I have personally seen a lot of very, very severe accidents, like a lady driving with a child, okay, in the back seat, and just like 6-month-old child, and like he was like hit so badly. So I really request to support this, 4-way sign, so that we can prevent most of the accidents. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Is there any comments online? Any other comments from the public? Board? Yeah.
I'm just wondering so would we need a motion to vote as
Well, I think before we get to that, I think Sean had a question,
okay.
if you don't mind.
Yeah, I didn't see any in what you provided, but was there any opposition to this that you've heard?
Not so far.
Yeah, okay.
Like I said, this is a pretty quick turnaround on a project, so
Yeah.
it hasn't been a public process
Sure.
for this, other than tonight. But no, I've not heard any opposition.
Great, thank you.
And I think to Tom's point, are we looking for a motion in support this evening?
Yes, to submit the application.
Okay.
And I would say to allow Kristen or designee to sign the MOU, if possible.
Very good. So anybody like to make that motion this evening?
I can make the motion to support the all-way stop intersection Lowell Road and Chamberlain Road, Brookside Road as discussed, and to authorize town manager to sign the MOU.
Second.
Excellent. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously. Hey, thank you, gentlemen, for all your time this evening and great work on this project. And it's exciting. I think that the other, 2 stop-related sign projects that we did, was it last year or 2 years ago?
Yeah, so they went up in August.
Okay.
So in the coming months, I want to reach out to PD again, and we had the accident data from before we did the project.
Yeah.
I want to get a snapshot of the last 12 months
Great.
and report that back to the board.
Love to hear it. So,
Can I ask one more question?
yes, please.
Yeah, so the part of the reason the accident happened on that road are one, that Lowell Road has a speed limit of 30, but I can tell you people drive at least 42 to 45. Number one. The number two, the slope on the Chamberlain Road is so steep that when you are at the corner and you are at the stop sign, I'm telling you, you have to go at least 4 times after the stop time to see who's coming because of the trees and the road is completely blocked. So, I mean, I like the idea, but I would also suggest that in the Chelmsford, I mean, if you go down like probably 1 mile or so, There is a school street, they have 4-way LED signs. I know it is expensive, but because there are no lights on that road, if we can also think of, putting the LED sign, that will also help, rather than, just putting the blind stop sign. I know it is little costly,
Yep.
right? If you wanna take us from our pocket, I think we can also support in that neighborhood.
Okay. Kyle, did you want to say?
I can add some context to that. So I'm not 100% certain, but we did look at that intersection, Jeremy and I, in Chelmsford. I believe that was part of the Always Stop program as well. Most of the stop signs that were done in that program were done with LED signs, and DOT would pay for them. Back when we were looking at this last year, Paul and I had some really good discussion about that, and we decided not to opt for the LED signs for a number of reasons. One, I don't believe even as of today it's a sign that's listed in the MUTCD. Two, it would differentiate that intersection from all of our other intersections, and it's hard to say that that intersection is more important or more dangerous than any other. And I do always worry about what kind of liability message does that put us in. And third, frankly, I just think the regular stop signs, we use high-vis stop signs now. They're very retro-reflective, very visible. They work really well, and I just think the added maintenance of a solar infrastructure isn't worth the gain.
It sounds like we have a plan to move forward with this. Let's see how it goes, and then if for some reason we find that those are insufficient, we can look at alternatives.
Certainly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see our 7:40. folks. Yeah. Who said I was doing great tonight? Who jinxed me?
You said it twice.
Sean, yes.
Hi, folks. Sorry we're running late. Appreciate your patience. All right, we're on to our 7:40 agenda item, which is a continuation of billboard discussions, 5 Makepeace Road, Westford, including discussion regarding zoning and entering into a development agreement. So,
good evening, Mr. Chair. For the record, Attorney Melissa Robbins from Farrell and Robbins. Also with me tonight is Stephen Ross, who's the manager of American Outdoor Advertising. As the board might recall, we were here in February and had a general discussion about a possible billboard at 5 Makepeace Road. For those of you not familiar with Makepeace Road, I always think it's interesting in Westford that Makepeace Road is the only road in town where you have to actually leave Westford to get to that point of Westford. So on one side you have to go to Tingsboro, and the other side you have to go through Chelmsford to get to this little island of Westford. It's right against the Tingsboro border. Lots of people think there's already a billboard in Westford because, as you know, there's a billboard right there on Route 3, but that's actually in Tingsboro. I'll go through quickly. I know it was in my cover letter and we discussed it in February, but we are committing to the town if we proceed with zoning here about a few things. The first of which is that we'll pay $50,000 a year for 30 years, which totals $1.5 million to the town of Westford. I think in the cover letter, my original cover letter, some of that could be paid up front if the town would like to move forward with that. We've also agreed to give a portable sign to the town of Westford because, as I just pointed out, this sign will actually be far in the corner of Westford, closer to Tingsboro, so some people might wonder what advertising for Westford would be helpful. So you could use that sign, the portable sign, anywhere you'd like. The municipality does get to advertise for free on this sign. I think it's 12 hours a month, and I had to write down how many messages that is. It's 4,320 messages a month for the town of Westford. That's all free advertising. The other good thing about this location preliminarily is that the closest residential structure is about 650 feet away. It's bordered by Route 3 and then an industrial use, and another proposed industrial use with the Hot Ridge development being the closest development to the sign. So what we didn't have when we came to this board the last time, and lighting. The board had asked for a lighting plan. I know that it's in your packet. I went through it generally at the last meeting, but this will be a state-of-the-art LED light. It will meet all lighting requirements. It dims at night. I think you have probably every detail you ever wanted in a lighting sign in your packet this evening, but obviously Mr. Ross can speak to that as well if you have any questions about lighting. So the only piece we didn't have the last time was zoning. Do we have a zoning path that we could actually move forward if the town was inclined to support something like this? And the answer is now yes. Mr. Morissette has worked with town council and found a zoning path which my client would be amenable to. And I'll let Jeff speak to that in a moment, or you can speak to that now if you want, Jeff.
Sure, the board's willing. So it was a little complicated. You're tired of hearing that from me, I'm sure. But it first would involve making an application to the Zoning Board of Appeals. It would have to seek 2 petitions. One would be a special permit, and that would be to change an existing or pre-existing non-conforming use from one to another. And that's under the Zoning Act as well as our local zoning bylaw. And the pre-existing non-conforming use would be the residential use. This is in an industrial C district, I believe, so that use is not currently allowed. Council has reviewed this, so they could change it to a new non-conforming use, which would be a billboard, which that use is not currently listed or permitted in town, and therefore it is a prohibited use or non-conforming use. In addition to the use itself, they would need some form of variance relief where they do not meet dimensional requirements. So we would expect that to be height of the billboard structure. It would far exceed what would normally be allowed there, and they likely would need setback relief to at least one property line. So special permit for the use and variance for dimensional deficiencies. So that's fairly straightforward in terms of a permitting process. That would be just the first step to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals. If successful there, they would still require some level of site plan review. I won't pre-commit to which level of review at this point in time. We would wait to see when they have a more specific application. And they would only trigger modifying stormwater if they disturb greater than an acre of land, which I don't anticipate would be the case in this situation. They might also be subject to Conservation Commission review if they're proposing work within a jurisdictional area, but I think it's too early to tell at that point. So high-level zoning, and then planning board or some level of site plan review would follow. But it does, we do agree, and council agrees, it would absolutely make sense if this were to move forward to have a development agreement in place prior to making any applications to any land use boards. So, and I'm happy to try to answer any questions you might have.
Right, so to Jeff's point, this board actually won't be giving any of the approvals for the actual billboard. If this board's inclined to support something like this, what we would do is put the development agreement in place first before we went to one of the boards. That way you'd make sure that all the mitigation was in place, and then the boards would just go through the legal process and not deal with any of this mitigation. This would all be outlined in the development agreement. So this board, so we'd still have to go get approvals from the Zoning Board of Appeals, and we'd still have to go get approvals from the Planning Board. I don't think we need approvals from Conservation, but that's something we would have to investigate. So the ask we have for the board tonight now is, now that we've got through the zoning gymnastics that you just heard Jeff go through, if the board's still inclined to support us proceeding, that we would now ask town council to actually draft this development agreement and come back to a future board meeting to see if the board's interested in approving it.
Great, thank you. Any questions from the board members? Yes.
A couple. So this is a heavily wooded area. This is all woods, essentially. How much of this area would be disturbed? And like, you know, that means like getting trucks in and out of there to build this. What perimeter, what do you need as far as a space to put this up? Yep.
Stephen Ross, thank you for having us here tonight, allowing us to present. So it'll be extremely minimal. And when I say that is we have to take a soil sample, and depending on what the soil's like there, it could be as simple as having a column that goes down maybe 50 feet. And we did one in Tewksbury. It took less than 4 minutes to have it go down 60 feet. So there was no disturbance of the soil or anything. If the soil is not conducive to that, then we probably have to do a 26 by 26 spread footer, and it goes down about 8 feet. So there'd be a little bit of soil removal. We'd have the trucks there. It's right off of Makepeace. We have access to the location from there. And again, it'd be about maybe 4 days of construction, and we'd be done.
Right, so this isn't a clear, you know, you don't have to clear cut a certain area to get to this area of the lot. We have access elsewhere, and the actual disturbance for the structure is minimal. So and really the trees, especially towards the residential abutters and the existing abutters, are our friends. So we would try to keep those up to the extent possible because that's our buffer.
Okay, great.
follow-up question? Yeah.
Well, it's a statement really, is, right now Westford does not allow billboards. And I feel like if we allow this one, then we have all of that area on 110 as well, and it would change the aesthetic of the town. It would change the character of the town to allow billboards. And I'm not sure that I'm willing to support that. That's my 2 cents.
Okay, thank you.
Can I just
Yeah,
comment?
please,
So,
go ahead.
thank you for that comment. This particular developer did come to Mr. Morissette and I a year or so ago, perhaps, to discuss potential billboard locations. And one of the locations was on 110, and we strongly discouraged that from occurring. So I just wanted to relay that to the board this evening, that we felt that it was in the best interest to not have billboards along the 110 corridor related to this. And please.
Yeah, and if I can
Add some
add,
information.
there were several locations suggested, and I think we gave our honest opinion as to the potential support. But I will say what is different here is that this site is unique to some of those other locations that were under consideration because it did benefit from having a pre-existing non-conforming use, and most sites simply do not have that. So you would not have this special permit avenue, which is in the Zoning Act, state law, that would allow for this potential opportunity. And again, for the Zoning Board of Appeals, regardless if you enter into a development agreement, the Zoning Board of Appeals has to make their own independent determination. And they would have to review each such application on a case-by-case basis. And they would have to be able to make the finding that the proposed non-conforming use would not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing non-conforming use. So they have their own
Set of standards.
Set of standards that they have to review. So regardless, you could enter into a development agreement and they may not get the approvals. So, and I'm quite certain if there is a development agreement, it would obviously be subject to being able to secure the necessary approvals and actually install.
Correct.
So.
Just to Member Donovan's point, this is something the zoning board has to take into consideration anytime I'm before them for a variance, that your bylaw does not allow it. Whether it's a structural variance, whether it's a use variance, they have to take into consideration. This is generally something that the town of Westford does not allow, so why should they allow this in this location? I've looked at other billboard locations in town with other developers that we did not proceed with for that very reason. But because of this specific location and because I don't think it'll have a large effect on the residential community, and because I think that it's in a location where I think the other billboard people mostly think is in the town of Westford anyway, that's why I think generally this location is acceptable. And why the town felt, the general discussions with the town felt like one along 110 or in that 495 area would not be acceptable. But this is something that we'll have to prove to the zoning board in order to get approval.
Thank you. Tom, do you have your hand up?
I think the answer to my question was to what extent this created some sort of precedent to Noel's point. And I think it sounds like it's sort of an exceptional circumstance that would not typically be available, and it goes through independent review. So it doesn't sound like to me that there may be some general, atmospheric precedent. There's no clearing of the way for any future projects based on this decision.
Correct. It's looked at a case-by-case basis. The type of relief we would get from the zoning board, especially on the variance relief, is looked at site-specific. So it does not give, it's not a precedent at all.
I'll also add that, as I mentioned, this site does benefit from a pre-existing non-conforming use. The other locations that I believe were under consideration, at least by this potential applicant, I believe they would have needed use variances, which is a very different standard than a special permit, where you have a lot of discretion, and it's a much lower standard offered under state law.
I think Sean had it. You don't mind, Sean? Yeah.
Yeah, could you speak to the term, at least what you folks have proposed is 30 years, right? The sample contract that we have in here from Tingsboro, I believe it was 10 with a renewal or something, an opt-in. Can you speak to that as to, because 30 years is a long time, right? Things can change, businesses can get bought, businesses can go bankrupt. So what, how do you see that playing out? I get it that we don't have a specific contract.
Sure.
But,
well, just to the Tingsboro one, this is more money for a longer term.
Okay.
So that's a little bit difference with Tingsboro. If the company went bankrupt and it was not transferred with the approval of the town of Westford, the board would have to come down. Because if you stop using it under most of the agreements, it gets removed. What happens with most of the agreements, I think we gave a couple more from other towns for examples, but some of them have an auto renewal. So at the end of the term, you'd have to renegotiate with the community. So if that's something the board's inclined to put into the development agreement, that's something we can include as well. So at the end of the term, let's say if there's 2 years left on the term, we'd have to come back to the select board at that time and renew it for a new term, or it would end.
Okay.
And the terms I've set out are just the terms we're proposing. So that's something that could be negotiated. If you talk to finance and they say, well, this isn't a good term and we think that this would be a better payout time over a certain amount of time, or the $200,000 up front is problematic, that's something that could be adjusted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just to build on his question, so if for some reason there is a bankruptcy, you said the sign will come down, who would be responsible for taking that sign?
We would be
down?
responsible for taking it down. But generally in here, there's terms to transfer it, but the transfer would be subject to the approval of the select board. But if it ceases being used, generally most of these contracts say that it has to be removed within a certain amount of time. In other communities, when they were concerned about it, so yeah, now we're bankrupt, so where's the money coming from? Towns have held bonds for that reason. So to make sure that it does get taken down, and that if a company goes bankrupt, the town has money available to get rid of it.
Right.
Should that happen.
Jeff, is that something you would recommend us doing as well?
I would, and it's very typical for other installations such as cell towers. I mean, I know it's not equivalent, but you would usually have some mechanism in place that if the operation ceases, there is a way to have it removed if the applicant is either unable to do so. So
Right.
the town would be protected.
Or in the case of a default.
Perfect.
For any other reason not bankruptcy related. If we didn't make our payments, you'd also have the money to remove it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you had a comment?
Elizabeth has-
Okay, yep.
A couple of things.
Sure.
So I reached out to the town of Tingsboro. They have 2 already there, and they're thinking of converting a 3rd one that is not digital to digital. So this would be the 4th one in a relatively short stretch of Route 3. I know we're saying we're not necessarily setting a precedence, but there's kind of this flurry of them there. Can you speak to what you think that bigger picture is? Like, where does this sit on what is the aim for that stretch in general? Other parts of, I'm going to add to why I'm asking this question. I really appreciated the inclusion of all the details on the lights. In terms of dark skies, Westford has been praised by the observatory up on the hill of Haystack for our willingness to put shields on our street lights and just in general turning down our lights. I know Tingsboro and Nashua are their own light sources, but dark skies is not just about the standard dark skies. There's actually recommendations against installations of bright lights close to observatories, and Westford is the home to this observatory that is the MIT study of the physics of movement in Earth. So when I think of there being, not just our addition, but probably another one from Tingsboro, where we're creating this neighborhood of large bright lights there. So I'm curious what else we can say to what that planned future is there. Are you looking to develop more sites along there? Is this one of 10 or?
No, I mean, because you'd have to, especially in Westford, as we just discussed, the zoning path, you'd have to find a site. And you'd have to find, a pre-existing nonconformity and a location that works, because if you can't put a sign like this smack dab in a residential neighborhood. So you have to find a perfect site, and generally speaking, these signs are along a highway. And a lot of the areas along our highway are also wetlands, are already developed, so you just don't find a lot of sites like this that meet all the criteria to put a sign. And as Ms. Donovan points out, Westford doesn't allow billboards. So to find a site that does not have a lot of residential neighborhood around it, does not have wetland, and is along the highway, that's difficult to find. And maybe that's why even in coming over the Tingsboro line, they probably have the same pressures. So that's probably why you have a few signs in this area that seem like they're all in the same exact area.
And my question wasn't limited to Westford, it was because I am under the impression that this isn't your only billboard.
Right.
So I'm asking what, in addition to this one, is part of that neighborhood of big bright billboards, just for a big picture perspective.
No, I mean, there's no others proposed right there. I think the
Okay.
Tingsboro ones, Tingsboro is not looking for another billboard either. You know, I think that they would look to convert that sign that's, I think, a watch sign or something
Yes,
right
that's
now.
right.
Into a digital sign.
Yeah.
Moving forward, but they would have to go through the same thing. They'd have to go through the same process you're going through now and weigh the benefits and the downsides and see if it's worth it to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other comments?
Well, just one follow-up question. So just thinking of the observatory, so they have the open houses in part to advocate to this community that we are sensitive to their plight, that the amount of sky they can visually measure is shrinking because of the light pollution. I know this isn't out of sync with dark skies, but how out of the box is it? I mean, do these have to be on from midnight to 2 a.m. when the study's happening? They're not studying the night sky in the middle of the day, they're studying it around midnight. Are you open to, any time at which it is off?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And it's also dimmed.
Yes, I know it's different.
Yeah.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
I think as well, and I think it was something actually that Member Donovan had asked at the first meeting, I think there is a way to put a further shield on the top. So, if there's a...
So all of the new technology comes with louvers, so the light goes downwards, and it gets dimmed to about 3% of its capability in the evenings when it's darker. So there's less light pollution on a digital than on the traditional, where the lights are shining on it, and then there's a whole bunch of ambient light being thrown out.
Right.
Appreciate that, yeah.
Follow-up question to that. What is what's the diameter of that light pollution, even though it's going down? Like where, I'm thinking about like the animals on the ground that are migrating at night, that we're gonna get all messed up, and this is a very heavily wooded area. And I know we're looking at the residents and the impact, but one impact that we're not really talking about is the impact on the animals that are in this area. And I just can't see myself saying yes to this. So I can't see myself saying yes to disrupting a natural habitat for advertising.
So it's a great question. There's another town we're working with, and there's a detention pond. And since it was built before 1986, it's now considered wetlands. And one of the questions was, how is the light going to impact the habitat around there? And we had a study by Watchfire, that is an independent light digital provider, and they did a report that said it's going to have almost no effect at all, especially because of the surroundings, which is this one happens to be along I-93, and this is Route 3, so you've got the car headlights there already, so it's really, it's not going to have, it's a negligible effect, if any, on any habitat there. And that was a study we just did within the last 3 weeks. And so I could have one done for this as well and see if they have any different findings, but my guess is going to be it's the same.
And this is the actual slide from the light study that's in your packet that we project the light here from the sign. And just to be clear, the sign is tilted towards the highway. So it's an angled sign, so the light is projecting towards the roadway, not towards the woods areas to the east and south, I guess it would be on this map. So could you just describe a little bit the light coming off of the signs here? So this is a 300-foot perimeter.
Yes, and so it's obviously focused toward the highway, and the red line is 0 degrees, and that's where the majority of the light is focused. And after that, it gets less and less. And in the packet, it tells you exactly how many foot candles it's measured by. And I think it's the equivalent when you get to like the 40 and 50%. It's like a 100-watt bulb being seen from 100 feet away. So can you see it? Yes, you can see it. I mean, that's the point of the billboard, is to see it. But it's not like headlights, coming in your front window or anything like that.
Yes, Jeff.
Yeah, I just want to point out that this specific site also benefits from some prior permitting approvals. for over 25,000 square foot of building, over two buildings. So it already got approved for a significant major commercial project. So they have those approvals and could literally put the shovel in the ground if they could go through with that, not this applicant, but it's already approved for a significant development. They just haven't exercised that approval yet. I don't know if they plan to or not, but it's significant development, 25,000 square feet approximately, of just building space for wholesale trade use.
And if this went in, that would not go in?
No, I believe this could, this would be, in addition to that, it wouldn't conflict with that. Because that would be very close to the highway. And the rest of the development, I believe it is generally meeting those setback requirements. So I don't think it's in conflict with what is already approved. That's something that would get worked out, you know, if should they advance and get the high level use and variance, special permit and variance relief, they then would have to provide more detailed information, you know, as part of the site plan review process.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, so, looks like the ask is whether or not we would support this development agreement. Is that essentially
Yes.
what you're looking for this evening?
Would support the town, I mean, to start drafting one.
Drafting.
I mean, obviously, we don't have any terms yet, so we'd obviously still have to negotiate all of that, so.
So let's just get some clarity on the negotiation of terms. Where do you see that and how do you see that happening?
I would ask, the town council could put together, I mean, I gave some examples from other communities. You know what our starting point is for what we're proposing. Obviously, the board would have to discuss what your counter proposals would be here. It sounds like we also have some information we need to get to the board, this board, in order to proceed. So what I would ask is that town council start putting together an agreement. They can plug in our terms for now, and then we could come back and negotiate with the board to see if they want to proceed under that development agreement. And in the meantime, we can try to answer a couple more questions about being night sky friendly, dealing with some of our specific items that we have, the K-Stack Observatory in Westford, and then looking a little bit at even, I know there's not a ton of green space, but there is green space, and just seeing what impact would have to the environment since we have that consultant available.
That sounds great. What does the board think? Does anybody want to make a motion in support of starting this process?
I can make the motion to, I guess under town manager guidance, engage the town council to begin the negotiation of this
development
agreement. Thank you. And that's the motion, and my understanding is that I guess we as a board would decide how to manage the back and forth of negotiation itself, and it would ultimately come back to us.
Right, Kristen, that's my understanding as well.
Yeah.
Yep, yes.
Okay, so I'll make the motion to say that.
And I'll second that.
Okay. Oh, you know what?
I can hold the second if you want.
Do you mind? Because Diane, I
withdraw
missed.
my
Yeah,
motion.
sorry, we're just gonna pause. Go ahead, Diane, sorry. I know you were waiting.
Thank you. Diane Wood, 122 Depot. Just a quick question regarding content, and maybe this was already spoken or discussed. Will Westford have any control, and I'm thinking not, about the content? Because to some extent it is a commercial enterprise. So if for some reason the town considers what's going up there as truly objectionable, and I realize that's subjective, how do we handle that?
And I do think we discussed this
We
at our
did.
last meeting.
Yep. I think you had a good answer. Do you want to give the response you gave last time?
So, yes, we try not to put, well, we don't try, we don't put any sexually orientated businesses. Tobacco's not allowed. We don't do any attack ads. We don't do controversial advertising like pro-life or pro-abortion. And if there's something else that goes up that the town is, says, what are you doing? Just call me and we'll talk about it and probably take it down.
I think there's a term in the Tingsboro agreement as well that speaks specifically to that.
Yeah.
Yes, in the development agreement.
So, Diane, we'll have similar language, I think, in our agreement to try and protect us.
Yeah, most definitely, just to cover ourselves regarding, because it's so subjective. And you're dealing with a commercial enterprise that is going to draw business from many other industries, some of which we may not be thrilled about. So when we get to that point, or when the contract is written up, I don't know if there's any way to modify it, to at least have some say in this or not, but I'm just pointing that out. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so Jeff, did you have a comment?
I mean, I think we heard a lot of the concerns tonight. We're happy to, if you're willing to take a crack, work with town council to at least flesh out some options for the board's consideration. The applicant is willing to cover the cost for town council to review, to write a draft, to protect the town's interests. So other than commitment of staff time, I think, there's not a lot to lose here, to at least explore it and see if you reach a good agreement, great, and if not your problem.
Okay, great. So we had a motion from Tom, which I think you still comfortable making?
I will reintroduce my motion.
All right, very
It's
good.
actually a second.
And we have a second. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, the motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much, both of you, for all the great work on this project. Look forward to seeing where it goes in the future.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, we're on to our old new business. I did see folks in the audience. Is there anybody here for a specific item that we haven't already covered? That's one way to clear the room. All right. All right, very good. So we'll move on to old new business. We have review and amendment to, thank you, Jeff, appreciate it, to the restrictive covenant with 54 Main Street abutter associated with 50 Main Street J.B. Fletcher Library. You want to talk a little bit more about that?
I will have Mike take you through this briefly.
Thank you. So this is related to a parcel that is adjacent to the library. There is one parcel that was sold or conveyed in 1987 that had a covenant attached to it. It's roughly midway between the front of the library and the rear of the library. It provided for a buffer to be planted, installed, and maintained for roughly a couple hundred feet of that section. It was extremely prescriptive in terms of the spacing of the trees, the type of the trees, exactly what would be planted where. As it turns out, those trees are not particularly suitable to that location. They wind up not providing the visual buffer they were intended to do. So we have worked with the adjacent property owner to renegotiate what that covenant needs to say and essentially give us a little bit more flexibility, not be so specific about the types, get a buffer that allows us to plant climate and environment appropriate plantings in that location. So this just essentially changes the language of what that buffer is from a very prescriptive 7-foot tall white pine trees planted 10 foot apart and staggered to a visual buffer. We've negotiated that with the neighbor. They're in agreement with the language. There is a minor change that we'll have to the language that simply says it will include some evergreen. But other than that, we have a language that everybody agrees on. So, and this does have to get approved ultimately by the Board of Trustees as well, but we wanted to go ahead and just take this step because we really do need to get the contractor moving on ordering plants and landscape material, et cetera.
Very good, thank you, Mike. Any questions about this item? Yes.
I have a request.
Sure.
That the plants be native plants.
Quite a few of them are, yes. Yes, we have gone back and forth a number of times. That was a big request of the neighbor. They've been involved in the design, involved in the plantings, et cetera. So it'll be nice.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion in support of this request?
So moved.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mike, and thank you to the neighbor who's, I guess, working really well with us, so that's great.
Yep, no, we've got a few other changes they'll be bringing forward as part of the design, but it's been a good process kind of getting them back on board and collaborating on the shared space.
Excellent. Okay, we have a request to sign granted easement for the relocation of a pole in front of the Facilities Department garage at 30 Beacon Street as part of electrical service repair and upgrade.
So I just promoted Jeff Goodwin, who can
All right.
walk us through this.
Hi, Jeff.
Good evening.
Hey.
Sorry, I got some glare on the background here. So yeah, this is an easement to relocate an existing pole in the parking lot at the garage at 30 Beacon Street. This past spring, we approved a capital article to rehab the site, which includes the replacement of the roofs and masonry repairs, electrical service upgrade. This moving of the pole is part of what we hope to do with the electrical service upgrade. So we're literally moving the pole probably about 30 feet from a location that's right in the middle of the parking lot up a little closer to the building, which is going to make it very more easier for us to maintain the area around the garage.
Excellent. Okay. Any questions for Jeff? All right. Is there a motion to support?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Excellent. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Okay, we have a request from the Conservation Commission to appoint Noel Almeida to the Community Preservation Committee as the Conservation Commission's representative for a term to expire on June 30th, 2028. I think this is pretty self-explanatory.
Yes, this is to fill Marilyn Frank's
Yeah.
space.
Motion and support?
So
Second. Okay, any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. And then we have accepted donation of a television from the Rotary Club of Westford to the Department of Public Works. This is so Kyle can watch TV all day long?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the request is fairly straightforward. The Rotary has offered to the Public Works Department a 75-inch flat-screen TV with a value of $498. The TV would be put into our conference room. It would replace a whiteboard that we have that's old and can't write on it much anymore. It would help us with presentations for training, meetings with consultants, and it would improve the room that we could possibly use it for public meetings as well. So we're grateful to the Rotary for the offer and hope that the board accepts the donation.
Excellent. Well, that sounds great. Thank you very much. Any questions for Kyle on this?
Was this one of Patty Mason's Walmart collections, or?
It is, yes. No, it's a TV donated to the Rotary from Walmart.
Love it.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Great. Is there a motion in support of accepting this?
So moved.
And so second. Okay. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion
Thank
carries. Thank you, Kyle.
Thanks,
Appreciate it,
Kyle.
buddy.
Thanks,
Have a good night.
Okay, we're on to board reports and updates. Do we have any updates from our working group task force or any other board that wants to give us an update? Yes.
So on behalf of the Tax Relief Working Group, just confirming that we will be prepared next month to do our first report out with 2 of the 4 charter components. One is to be able to communicate Westford's trends around average tax rates in the context of both property, commercial, industrial, and then residential, and also a recommendation on whether to or to not do a split tax rate.
Is this something that you want to do at the end of the month or the beginning of the month?
The second one, please.
Second one.
The 22nd, I believe it is. Yeah.
And I think we're still trying to find an economic development liaison. We talked about that again at our meeting on Thursday.
Yes.
So I don't know if we'll get someone, but perhaps we just want to have a conversation with someone on the committee.
That would be great if they just want to join us for sharing some input or hearing any questions from us. That
If you can just let me know
work.
when your next meeting is, and then we can.
We meet every Thursday at 8 p.m. on Zoom.
Okay.
And could make a special case if that can't work for somebody who wants to speak with us representing an important part of our overall community. That'd be great. Thank you.
And is that it sounded like that was the first of 2 reports, or is that going to be the final?
It is not going to be the final because of 2 reasons. The charter has 4 aspects to it. 2 were considered particularly time sensitive in the priority, and so that is what we're tracking to for the first deadline, which was to be the end of September. We also have spent so much time on these, we have not yet rounded out the other 2 parts, which are to be able to speak to the other kinds of relief that other communities provide and related topics. So there will be more.
Okay.
Yes.
That sounds great. Any other updates of boards and committees? Anything from DEI, Tom, on the listening sessions that you guys were working on? I know you had that initial outreach that you said went very well. Has there been any other movement on that?
The next step was going to be to get some of the feedback from the parents of young children or school-age children working group. I think over the summer they've not yet had a chance to pull that together. So the next you hear from us will be after they've had their input and we've kind of consolidated.
Okay.
So should be coming up. There's something else you just reminded me of, but I lost it. So if it comes back, I'll raise my hand.
I'll just note, as Elizabeth and Tom are also on this committee, as well as myself, the Robinson School Building Committee is having a public community forum on September 9th at 6:30 at Stony Brook Middle School. We can definitely put this on open forum on September 8th for our meeting, but I wanted to give advance notice. And it's really to talk about the potential redistricting and mapping that we've done with our consultant.
Okay. And that will be a hybrid option as well? Or no?
Yes, I am seeing that on their webpage. Yes, it will be a hybrid option.
And the town meeting committee?
Yeah, town meeting time, timing committee, working group, has been meeting. I anticipate that we'll get a few more meetings in, and I'm hoping that we'll have a work product for this board to consider by the first October meeting.
Okay.
So that's what we're shooting for. But I'll keep it a secret as to what we're discussing. No, there's a lot of ideas being thrown around, and I think we'll have some more clear idea as to where we're heading and what we're suggesting and what options we're giving the select board by October.
Okay.
So.
Great, great. Also, just a reminder that we're doing the tri-board, I think it was September 1st.
First
right?
at 7 p.m.
So
at
we'll start
Millennium
that.
and on Zoom.
Okay. Okay, that's all the updates we have. Yeah. I feel like there's something else, but I can't remember either, Tom. Is there anything from economic development that they've been working on?
I don't think I wasn't able to make the last meeting, but
So we've re-engaged with Trost as our consultant, and they are going to be revamping some of the website presence, social media presence. We're also partnering with Middlesex 3 on a What's Happening in Westford in November timeframe, so an event for our businesses. And I know that they're moving forward with some additional business outreach. They're also discussing this battery storage and solar energy zoning bylaw that's coming to the October special town meeting.
Okay, thank you for the update. There was one other thing. It was, we heard a lot about communication tonight. The communication consultant is ending
December 31st.
December 31st, so we might want to start thinking about Plan B.
Sure.
So there was that communication consultant or communication, I don't know what I remember calling it, but I can circulate that again for people's review. But if people have other ideas on how we want to approach the communication issues, I think we should maybe think about that sooner rather than later. So
great.
Yes.
One of the ideas that did come out of listening session with the Indian American community was a lot of interest in from people there who are willing to join maybe they meet quarterly citizens communication where we talk about what we're trying to get out, and we have a group of people that would come together and help us tap into their networks to get word out. So
perfect.
That was an idea I think you'd raised at some point in the past.
Yep.
It organically showed up out of the session. So anyways,
great.
and we had some volunteers. So
Okay.
hate to not take advantage of a volunteer.
Looks like Noel's going to volunteer to organize this.
So, something sparked up at a WestfordCAT board meeting is that they're going to be sending out, hopefully quarterly, a town-wide mailing. And it's going to be mostly advertising, but there is potentially an opportunity for the town to put something in that to get the word out to all of the residents as a town-wide mailing.
Okay, yeah. I do think we still need to crack this nut. There's still challenges with how we're communicating or not communicating, so, okay, that sounds good.
We also have our new project procurement specialist coming up to speed on all things communications. He's now joined the Mass Municipal Communicators Group.
Excellent.
He went to his first conference on Thursday related to that, so I think we are growing some internal capacity with that as well. So before we reinvent the wheel on certain things, let's use the resources that we have here too. And I know we do have a bit in the budget for fiscal 27 if there's any other initiatives related to communication.
Okay, sounds good. All right, let's move on to our minutes for approval. We have for release our executive session, February 10th, 2026, April 28th, 2026, and May 26th, 2026. Is there a motion and support?
May I ask I'm sorry.
Yes.
May I ask a clarifying question?
Yep.
If, oh, I see, never mind, excuse me.
Second.
So we had a motion, we have a second. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries unanimously. And we're on to the town manager's report.
Great, so we would like the board to accept a Mass DOT Municipal Small Bridge Program Agreement in the amount of $150,000 for the Old Homestead Road Bridge over Old Brook project. And thank you to Lori Halverson and others on the DPW team who applied for this grant.
All right. Jeremy, thanks, buddy.
And Jeremy, thank you.
All right, do we have a motion in support of accepting that grant?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? All right, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you all for working on that. That's a big win. Purchase orders.
Yep, so we have a purchase order for Nighthawks Track and Field for fiscal '27 recreation programs in the amount of $22,000 as requested by the Recreation Department. SmartNet services in the amount of $21,127.14 for software and hardware technical support for Cisco devices as requested by the Technology Department. Applied Water Management for analytical services in the amount of $25,250 as requested by the Water Department. And then Dennis K. Burke for gas and diesel fuel at the DPW tanks in the amount of $166,000 as requested by the DPW.
Okay. Any questions on those? Is there a motion of support?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. We're on to contracts.
All right, so
Bye, gentlemen.
thank
Have a
you.
good evening.
So, Chris, I will let you lead this one. I know it's under town manager's report, but consider appointing an interim town manager until the start of a new permanent town manager and authorizing the chair to sign the contract. Would you like to make the official announcement?
Okay, so the official announcement is that we're naming one of our assistant town managers, Mike Edward, to our interim town manager starting October 1st. We are very thankful for Mike to take on this role. We know it's going to be a lot of work, but we have total faith that you'll be able to shepherd us through the times ahead, and we will do everything we can to support you, and hopefully everything works out great. So thank you very much for doing that. Do we need a formal motion in support of this at this point?
We would need a motion to authorize the chair to sign a contract.
All right. Do we have a motion to authorize the chair to sign the contract with Mike?
So moved.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Okay.
Congratulations, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Congratulations,
Mike.
We've got a good team, so I think we're going to be in good shape.
All right, excellent.
All right, and then we'll round the contracts. We have a license agreement with Bootstrap Compost for a self-service food waste collection bin at the Abbott School, a license agreement with New England Clothes Recycling for textile collection bins. These are all related to the work that we're doing related to the pay-as-you-throw program and reducing our waste and those matters. And thank you to the Recycling Commission and others who are involved in this. And then finally, we have a municipal energy contract with Direct Energy for our natural gas and Constellation for electricity. We do this every 3 years or so to get the best rates for the town. It is separate from the municipal aggregation program that our residents see through National Grid.
Excellent.
And note on that final one that we did submit a changed memo to you on the dais this evening.
It's also on your place.
Yeah, just as a good example of how volatile these prices are. The original memo that we put together, the prices have changed since then, so we have adjusted it just a little bit. Slightly less favorable than it was before, but overall it nets out to about a 1% change over what we have right now on our rates. So we felt like we had to jump on this and go ahead and get these locked in for the next 3 years to have some budget certainty.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Any questions on any of these licenses? I did have a quick question, hopefully. Why are we limiting ourselves to just Abbott for the bootstrap composting? Is this just sort of a
This is
trial?
kind of a pilot. Bootstrap was able to offer us a free bin. It's, supported by an app, it's networked, it's solar powered. We're going to try this and see how it works, and it's at no risk to the town, and actually the Recycling Commission voted to allocate $2,000 of our grant funds to develop some type of a subsidy for some period of time, so they're working through that right now.
And what's the plan to actually educate is the expectation that the kids put their bootstrap?
No, this is for residents to subscribe. They've actually already had a few people sign up for it, so you have an app, you sign up, you can go and dispose of your stuff, you pay a monthly subscription fee.
Okay, great. All right, any other questions, comments on these? Motion and support. We got one from Elizabeth saying yes. We have a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Is there a motion to waive correspondence, reading of correspondence?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Excellent. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, and we have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.